I am your host, Kanye Musetli. Welcome back to the episode of The Base Never Die. Happy to be joined by a full house. The Traveler, Malcolm Mashikwa, Mvu, newly crowned the league champion as of Thursday, and Toby in 16th place. We'll start off with our Traveler Sheiks. How are you, sir? How are you feeling?
Hey man, spent all that money to go watch my team lose, bro. So what can
Thank
you
you, God.
what can you say? What can you say? But it's always nice to visit the carpet. But I have my health. Came home safely, so I'm up, I guess.
Nah, dog, you up. You're up. Look, even with that L, you're still not in 16th. And I think that's how we have to be looking at things, man. We have to be looking at the greener side of things. When you've had a season like this, you have to count your wins, not your L's. Mvu, my friend, you're up. You're up. I spoke a lot of shit about your team this season. I spoke a lot of shit to you this season. And many times, in fact, most of the season when watching the Liga,
Provoked by the
I've
way.
had to just hold an L. Dog, congratulations. You've won four classicals in a row. We've never seen it before.
Wow.
We've never seen it before. How are you doing, Black King?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. You see me? I don't say too much, bro. I'm quiet. Gents like coming to me with things, bro. So
Mm,
you know.
I
mm.
mean, that's a lie.
You know what's crazy? I've heard Mvu say, I don't say too much. There are at least 5 different episodes. But
Bro,
anyway, we move on
I
to
judge.
Toby.
Judge.
Toby, Europa League finalist, unbeaten
that's
in
what I
Europe
like
this
to hear.
season. Something that no one else in this panel can say. How are you feeling, man?
There's a lot I need to get off my chest. Win or lose that final. But we'll save that for later on in the episode.
So, speaking of the final, we do have to address the team that I think we've ignored for large parts of the season because I don't think many of us know Tottenham fans. I know, I think four, and none of them are proud. None of them speak to me about their team anymore. They've all kind of, hidden it from me. Tottenham Hotspur. This weekend marked their 20th loss in the league this season. Oh, so that's more than 50%. I think that is a bit ridiculous. No matter what the context is, I do not care if they go into the Europa League final and beat United 5-0. There's no way they can win that, and you can't look and be like, okay, Oaks, how does Ange still have a job? I don't care about an injury crisis. If we look at Arsenal and say you can't blame injuries, there's no way you can look at Spurs' injuries and say, yeah, it makes sense that they're in 17th place. Every other team has sacked their coach like in and around them. They've all had to make changes. Spurs didn't. They've had their squad more or less for most of the season. Well, not most of this, but for the past 2 or 3 months at least. They're still where they are, but they are also on the verge of somehow ending a trophy drought. For you guys, when you try to talk about what success really means at the end of the season, how do you reconcile what Spurs have done here? And Vu, we had an argument about this on Friday, so we'll start with you. How do you make sense of what Tottenham have done?
Look, they've been so bad. That goes without saying. Um, but the person who likes adding context to everything, Mr. Mashikwa, uh, I think for Spurs, like bro, they've just needed a trophy, and I. It's not like United situation like we discussed in the previous episode, right? Where a team that's accustomed to winning, even in their bad state, where you know you can maybe accept another trophy, a bad season, but maybe not to the point where they're 17. But I think Spurs and even Spurs fans would happily accept that this has been a bad season and they've lifted. Like they would be happy, they'd be overjoyed. I don't think any Spurs fan would trade the potential of okay, not the potential. If they win, I don't think they're gonna complain about the season. They might want a new manager. That's fine and that's fair, but they'll be too happy. So look, for my club, I wouldn't deem it as a success, but for Spurs, it is. Um, it sounds crazy to say that. I know it sounds crazy, but it's just the reality of where they are and where they have been for like how many years they were so close on so many occasions and came out with nothing. You know, so yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would
Yeah,
be somewhat of a success. It would be a successful season for them, bar the league. But yeah, it is what it is, bro.
Bro, it would be a great season, I
I
think,
agree
for
with
them.
everything Vu said online.
It would be
guys,
a
guys,
great
I,
season for
I,
them.
I struggle like to say great in this context because I think more than anything else, it just kind of reflects that there was a bit of fortune in this cup run. Like you need a bit of luck to be successful in any endeavor, right? Like no one gets anywhere without some kind of luck. But this Spurs season, folks, this is not normal. I don't think I've ever seen this before. I don't think I've seen a team make a European final and be in 17th place. I don't know if it's excusable. Like,
But
okay, so
I don't
if
think
they
Mvu's
win,
saying.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't think Mvu's saying it's excusable. I think he's doing, as he said, like just applying context. And I think when you look at Spurs, like they've had seasons of sustained performance, and even being the dominant sides, and they won nothing. So I think, given the dire situation, and that's why I like that he made the distinction between United situation and Spurs situation, because for United, you can almost take the piss out of them for 16th and winning the Europa, because you've won titles before, and that hasn't seeped over the cracks. That hasn't made you guys any more happy. But for a Spurs fan to win the Europa League, again, they're going to sing that whole Champions of Europe. You can never sing that to Arsenal, so that's something they can get off. Like, they won't care about 17th, bro. They won the Europa League. Now,
Yeah.
is that a small club mentality? Yes, but I think, given the suffering and the fact that before the League Cup in '08, their last title was in what, 60, 68, 69? Like, guys, like I'm so sorry. This is that's one of my favorite takes in Vu's had. Like, I have no pushback. It's nail on the head, bro.
So I think then my next question is,
Can I ask you
uh,
something? Sorry. Sorry.
Improve. How are we doing this, dog? Who's hosting here, brother? Who's hosting here, brother?
I just have one question. Just one question. This Sheiks, this caused Kanya to try fight me, by the way, bro. Like, he was so mad. He was so mad. He said don't
About this
make your
take.
emotions mine. He said don't make your emotions my emotions. That's what he said to me. And I'm like, bro, it's just a simple question, right? What do you think looks worse for Arsenal, right? If United win the Europa or if Spurs win the Europa?
I think I think it's net zero, and I know that's a bit of a cop out answer, but let me explain, because
Wait, before you
yeah,
do,
yeah.
I was gonna
Improve,
let him talk. I was not gonna push
did
back.
I
Let him
say?
finish. Let him
What did I
finish.
say?
Let him
Oh, okay.
finish.
Oh,
Let him
now you want
finish.
to wait for Oaks. Go ahead, Cheeks.
We
So
let you
so
finish. We let you finish. Let's relax.
so I was gonna say, if United win, this fool, and on my right, is gonna say, I'm gonna won a title before Arteta, league to, European
Phase
title
one.
before
Phase one.
phase one, like it's Marvel, right? That's what that fool's gonna say. But then if Spurs win, it's gonna be a whole, champions of Europe. You will never sing that situation. So, in terms of, like, which would which looks worse for Arsenal? Sorry if I'm misconstruing your question. Which looks worse for Arsenal? I would say United looks worse for Arsenal, but which would probably annoy me more is Spurs, because you know me, I'm going to get into intricate details. Like, this Europa League and you play in and the one we played in are not the same, right? Like, let's call a spade a spade. We had Atletico Madrid in the semifinals, and, like, a competent Valencia team in the semifinals. You had Bodo Glimt and
Mate, we had Napoli in the round of 16.
look now. So it's like, so again, but so having to say that, I know, would piss me off more with a Spurs fan, whereas United have won the Europa League in 2017 and there was still shit afterwards. So it's like, Spurs would annoy me more, but I think United would look worse for Arsenal. So net zero at the end of the day. Like, it is what it is. You guys are both shit, so the vibes.
Look, ultimately, I think when you're looking at this kind of thing, I think it just highlights how little regard anyone has for Spurs. The fact that this is something that can make it okay is ridiculous, considering that they're a side that was legitimately in a title race, like like 6 years ago. Like they came from almost doing it, from being nearly meant to this. The idea that this papers over any cracks, I kind of feel like they've over prioritized it. Like they've let it get to their heads to the point where they themselves can't recognize that there are other ways to gauge progress. You've built a new stadium, and you've gotten to a point now where you've hedged everything on, yeah, we can definitely beat United in a big game. Like, granted, it's in a season when, yeah, of course, they have actually managed to get past United more than once already. But I think most United fans, Toby, you'll chime in here, they think they're winning that game anyway. Like, I just don't think that the gamble pays off here. Toby, no.
Toby doesn't. Toby doesn't. No, Toby doesn't think. Toby's
I
Toby's
do
very
not
scared.
think- I am very, very scared. I won't lie to you because the idea to me that a team can just turn up and switch on the day is crazy to me, especially when it's a team that's in the Premier League, as in we're playing Tottenham Hotspurs. When you're coming up against the likes of Sociedad, Bilbao, those teams aren't really that good. Personally, I don't think they're that good. But Spurs, we haven't beaten Spurs since 2022, bro. Do you know how crazy that is? So, like, it's insane. The idea to me that we're gonna turn up in this final, we can't string a few passes together, but we're just gonna blow Spurs out the water is crazy to me. The only bit of hope that I'm clinging onto is the fact that it's Tottenham Hotspur. That we just know in a final somehow they're gonna fumble. You know, Pursuer's gonna give us a penalty in the first minute or something stupid like that, and then we're gonna score our goal. But that's the only bit of hope I'm clinging onto, bro. But I'm scared. I won't lie to you. I am very scared.
And sorry, just to piggyback off of that, like Kanya, you were talking about the psyche behind not sacking Ange. It's funny because Spurs, for the first time since I've been watching football, have decided to actually back a manager. Like, I think Levy learned from the Mourinho situation.
Mourinho situation.
Yeah.
What
And
the
I
hell
think
was he doing, bro?
I don't know. And it's funny because there's a good chance Mourinho could have lost that because they played City in the final, right? They could have gotten toasted. But because
But if there's anyone we back, it's him, bro.
there we go. Because you've now let that guy create that narrative, him of all oaks, it's always going to look like a blemish. So I really think that was the
Yeah.
psyche here. I think they said, okay, cool, season is a wash, but this guy's
Ange always
cooking.
wins in the second season.
That's what's scary. That is also scaring me, man. That is
So
also scary.
essentially, Spurs' season is being judged by one man's quote. They've just
Yes.
said, "What
Yes.
if he's right?" The whole season long, they've just said, "But what if we're still
Wait.
in this thing?" Go
But
ahead.
for you,
Shana.
Kanye, sorry, I was going to say, Kanye, if, for example, he actually is right, that has to be one of the coldest quotes in sports history, bro. It has to
It's
be.
up there. It's up
No,
there.
It
look,
has to be, bro.
there's a
It's
part
up
of me
there,
that
guys.
there's a part of me that wants Spurs to win.
Spurs,
There's a part of me that wants Spurs to win, just to be like, you know what, bro? But I just can't believe it's gotten this far. Ange could have been sacked in Jan. It would have been like, yes, that was ridiculous. Go ahead, Sheik.
I was going to say Toby, and we have 2.5 Arsenal fans here, so this is perfect. Guys, Toby, do you think...
Let me hear the foolery that's going to come out.
That's 2.5. But I was going to say, guys, if United lose Spurs, who are 17th in the final of the Europa League, I want you to rank in terms of pain, like these three finals. Two of them are Arsenal final. Baku, Birmingham Calling Cup, United Europa League against Spurs. Which is first, second, and third in that ranking for you?
Birmingham was first. Birmingham was
first.
Birmingham was out of this world. Birmingham was out of this world.
Yeah. Bro, that
Unacceptable.
is the worst one, bro.
Dude.
And we've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. No, the first time I despised Nigerians was because of Obafemi Madsen's in that game, bro. I don't even lie. Okay, so Birmingham is comfortably first. So then between Baku and potentially losing to 17th place Spurs, which is more embarrassing? Say it's like a 2-1. Say it's a 2-1 to Spurs, they come back and they win. So United go 1-0 up, Spurs equalize, Spurs score the winner. Which is more embarrassing between that and a 4-1 versus a Chelsea team that was like actually good?
I think we might be second as well.
Oh,
that loss against Chelsea, I almost stopped watching footy. That's the closest I've been to like completely switching off. Like not 06, nah. Like the immediate fallout is also because, bear in mind, we beat Chelsea in the league at the Emirates. Chelsea started to like genuinely fall off a cliff. Kante was all those like keeping those looks together. Anytime he didn't play, they were weak. Then they said no, Kante's gonna make it. There's all that noise about Mkhitaryan can't travel to this country, so they'll build out him. And you're thinking, nah, Oba, he'll have enough. And then the first person scored in that game was Giroud. Like who we just sold to them. We just sold him to Giroud.
Shit, yeah. I did your. I don't remember anything, so I forgot this game completely.
No, I remember it all. I remember it all,
From the
especially because
front.
I watched it with a few homies. Like we had like a watch party. Like it was like I was with other Arsenal fans. Dog, we were stoked. We think we back in the Champions League. We back, dog. We thinking, we missed out near the end. Uzo's gonna play Champions League again, dog. We thought things were gonna be okay. After that, we didn't play Champions League again until I was 24.
Okay, so Vu, do you agree? Do you think Baku would
No,
be worse than this? Oh
no,
yeah.
no. It's not worse, bro.
I'm sorry.
United, bro. Which big side has been in this position? Inter at their worst, AC Milan at their worst. They've not been this bad. It's
This
United.
is
It's
different. Yeah, this
United.
is a
This is
different
this is
level.
embarrassing.
You know what it
This
is?
is a
I think
side. This is a side before this season, or the end of this season, won the most Premier League titles, and they battling relegation. No,
See,
guys.
now you see the
No,
twisting words. No one's battling
this,
relegation. Like, oh, relegation,
you cannot do this,
that's
bro.
what I don't
How
like.
many,
And I
wait, how
told
many
you to
games?
stop
How many
doing
games have
that.
United lost this season?
It's not.
they've
That's
lost
not. You
17.
said
Amram has won 3 league games, right? Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. He's won 3 league games.
Let me check.
3
Where
league
is
games.
I don't. That's so wrong. That's false, bro.
Toby doesn't watch United thinking that you get. He watches it sad. Like no one believes. No one
Yeah,
believes in.
fucking
They
hell,
don't believe in
dude.
their team. This is way worse. He's scared of Tottenham in a final, guys. That's the answer. He's scared of Tottenham in the final. Who's scared of Tottenham in the final?
So
Who?
my my argument for this is that United have been
I'm with
so
you,
bad
bro.
that he doesn't even think they'll win. Like he's not confident.
Then that makes it worse.
No, but my thing is it's a continuation. Like the season's been so bad, like that'll just be like yeah. If he's won 3 league games since he got here, why would he suddenly win in the final? Like why should United like genuinely United winning in that final? The idea is the badge is gonna make them win. You're not thinking that the players on the pitch are so cohesive that there's gonna be a way that United win that game. It's just because
Sorry,
it's heritage that they're going through that they get
I'm,
past them.
I'm,
Go ahead.
I'm jumping a bit, but like, I think it's going to be the worst game of football I've ever seen. Like
Nah.
from like a technical standpoint, I think it'll be
Oh, yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
I think it'll be exciting, but like we win a
panic.
challenge cup, St. David's. Yeah, it's gonna be like one of those. I'm just predicting like long balls, like 50-50. This is going to be how. Look, Toby looks so embarrassed.
Bro,
Look, honestly, this is genuinely worse, guys. Like I am so.
I
sorry.
agree with them,
Genuinely,
Vu. Yeah.
there's no team this big that has been this bad ever. Like no, bro, not in our lifetime. No. Guys,
Yeah.
when people were playing like this, oh, sorry, never mind that. When the big teams are getting relegated, it's because they were cheating. United
Yeah.
were just ass. They're just ass.
Bad, bro. You can't
No
be
ways,
this bad.
I'll lie. It is a bit deep though to be on 36 games and still not be on 40 points.
Dude.
And they might not
That is unacceptable.
It doesn't make sense, bro.
They're playing Villa, and who's next for them?
And Chelsea.
Chelsea. Shame.
There's no
No
points
ways.
there, bro. There's nothing for us. That's why I'm scared. Because you're gonna go into a situation where you're playing in the Europa League final and you've lost 2 games on the trot, and now you're expected to just win. How does that make
Three.
sense?
Three,
And
3 games on the trot.
sorry, three, yeah. And I won't lie, Chelsea are scoring more than 2 goals. I know that for a fact. So it's like there's gonna be conceding a lot of goals. So it's a scary prospect. But at the end of the day, Oaks are laughing, but at the end of the day, I don't we don't want to talk about United too much, but at the end of the day, whether we win or lose, someone ahead has to get chopped off. And unfortunately, Amarim has to leave. He has to leave the club because the standards is too low. It doesn't make sense, bro. You should not be allowing this. Ineos should not be allowing this. You can't win a trophy but then say it's fine at 17. We're not Tottenham Hotspur. For them, it's a different situation, but for us, it's unacceptable, bro. Personally, it's unacceptable, man.
Yeah. You can't.
So on the record, you're saying
Sorry.
Amarim should go regardless.
Yeah, regardless, bro. I'm sorry. You can't at the end of the season, bro. You cannot just allow what has happened to just. You can't just use the trophy to cover over the cracks, bro. It doesn't make sense. You have to uphold a certain amount of standards, and 17 is not acceptable for anyone. This wouldn't happen at Arsenal. Wouldn't happen at Real Madrid. Wouldn't happen at Barcelona. So how can it happen? at our club?
Emery
It's
stayed for like
crazy.
5 months after that Europa L. By the way, he only left in December.
But bro,
Nah,
Amarim's
Toby's
been
right,
worse
man. Yeah,
than
Toby's
Ten
right.
Hag, bro.
Yeah,
He's
Toby's
been worse
right.
than Ten Hag, bro. There's no ways. think about what you guys think about Ten Hag. Every week you're laughing. You're laughing. You're not even laughing at Amram.
Yeah, you're not
He's
laughing.
quite.
Like
He's
not.
deep.
It's deep, bro. Like not scoring against West Ham at home.
Yeah,
Even
no,
I spend
listen.
money. I spend money to go to the stadium, bro. Like, guy, bro. Like, my bills are increasing, my rent is increasing, and I wanted to go watch my team. And Oaks wasted my money. I went to watch the Wolves game. We lost 1-0. Couldn't even give me one goal for all my travels. Imagine if I went again. I'm hurt, bro. I'm not even gonna cry, bro. I'm not even gonna cry. It's not fair,
Listen,
bro.
this chuckle has healed the 8-2. I'm actually okay now. Ashley Young, Rooney, I forgive you. Oh fuck, man. Now that was a genuine plea. Nah, like in all seriousness, it's to the point where, because again, Mr. Context here, did off of principle alone, Amaram may have to go. I do think he's a good coach, but like off of principle, mate, he should even resign. He should win and say
Bro,
I'm sorry
yeah.
and go. Like it's
Say,
it's at
here
that.
you go. It's too
Here you
big
go.
for me.
No, dog. Or even I've just fucked this up too much. Like it's a level of this. It's the standards, as Toby. Like I know I laugh and I take the piss, but like this is the equivalent of Barcelona, Real Madrid. Like this
Bro.
is this is the
This is them in
magnum
17
opus.
saying
Yeah, dude.
Europa
This
League
is the
final against who's
and
the La Liga equivalent?
Not
Like
Valencia.
Villarreal.
Valencia.
Villarreal.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
the
Villarreal,
Villarreal have won
Hey, but
trophies though.
hey, Villarreal can hurt
Villarreal
you
have
though.
won. Yeah.
yeah.
Celta Vigo.
Oh,
Respect them, dude.
I would like Spurs and Chelsea
No.
might be same level.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
But again, I think the most alarming thing, as you said, is it's like. But I do wonder how much of this, and I know this is again a nuanced point, but how much of this falls on. Now, let me not. Tavani, if Tavani watches this back, he'll go crazy. Never mind. Yeah, no, they need to.
Come to the
I was
flight,
gonna,
state and snap
dude,
you. It's gonna
bro. I don't want to get at it at 1 a.m. Bruno Tavani's up in weird hours. He'll say, what did you say? Nah, yeah, fair. No, at this point, I told you I agree. Like off of standards, man. Like this is bro. We're not even taking the piss anymore. Like that's
Yeah,
how
it's
bad it's
embarrassing,
like
man.
genuinely. Yeah, no, yeah. So I think
But
it is a do or die for United.
I think one thing I just wanted to mention was, and maybe you can get your input in this, guys, is so the idea that remember after that FA Cup final when we beat Man City and Ineos failed to sack Eric Ten Hag, is that a similar situation we might see now where we will win, hopefully we
100%.
win, we do the Europa League, but then it's a thing of if you rewatch that interview with Sky, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I know he's not my dad, Zabani, if you watch this, said the reason why they decided to stick with him is because of the whole euphoria. They just beat Man City. They thought this was going to be the changing moment and pivotal moment, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that he should see that the same. I would hope that they would have learned their lesson from that. So my thing is, I do believe that Ineos will sack him after the season because you would hope that they would have learned from their lessons. And I was assuming that you guys would think the same, or I'm hoping you would. I need someone to also want to
Yeah,
help,
I don't.
bro.
I don't think he'll make the same mistake twice. To be honest,
He
I don't
can't,
think he'll do
bro.
that.
They can't.
I do.
I really think they're going to do exactly the same thing.
Exact same
I,
thing. Yeah, for
I,
sure.
I think the fact that Amram's kind of gotten all of this like stripped under the carpet, like in all seriousness, the amount of interviews that guy does, I think it is because on some level everyone's just like, bro, you have to explain all of this. You don't get interviewed this much. Others have to hear him. They have to say, dog, are you sure? Are you sure you want this? I'm sure that someone in Sky is secretly hoping to say, you know what, I actually have to resign. Like they're hoping to get his head hot enough for him to just take the step because you guys are 100% keeping Amram regardless. Actually, that's actually what I fear is going to happen. I think
It would
that
be a
the
terrible
idea,
choice.
the idea that United now have that I think is plaguing them the most is you guys are cursed by the idea of sunk cost fallacy. Like the idea that you started to invest, so you have to just try and see it out, and you're afraid to do it again. Where the conversation can be, we didn't back him enough, we didn't give him enough time. Because as Sheik said, the idea is that Amram is probably still a good coach. It might have just been that the jump from Sporting to this current version of United was too big, and maybe he's a
And
bit
that's
too stubborn to have gotten the job right now. He could have gone to Serie A, for example, and taken over anywhere else. He could have taken over off the Mota, for example, and employed a back three, and it could have worked there. But right now, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But Cheeks, go ahead.
Yes.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That was gonna be my point. It's like I and Toby, in terms of will they make the mistake again? I think it depends entirely on if Amarim can plead his case, because I think there is a case to be pleaded, right? And it is a nuanced point, but like this situation he inherited was just come on. Like I know it's to Tabani's point. It's 1 point a game return is ridiculous, right? I'm not justifying.
Bro,
I'm not justifying the
Bro.
end result, but what I'm saying, it's like he can look at his run at Sporting, right, and he can definitely look at the Europa League and plead a case to say like it depends on how much shame he has, to be honest, right? Because I do think if Amarim was an ex-player, right, say a Rooney or someone else who coached them into the situation, I do think even if they win the Europa League, they're resigning, because there you care about, I guess, the holistic standards of the club. But when you, the catch the I guess I don't know how to put it, the risk or what comes with hiring foreign managers is they don't necessarily have that same attachment at first. So they are kind of mercenaries. And as a mercenary, if I'm Amarim, I'm saying like, listen, league table is abysmal. Won the Europa League. You see what I can do in the Champions League. You've seen what I can do, when I have a proper team. Back me. And then they're gonna have to be aggressive in the summer, offload a bunch, sign a bunch, and all or nothing season where you want to see competence and sustained ability. So I don't think it's a one size fits all. I think it depends on Amarim himself, right? If he has shame, he's done, right? If he pushes this humble gimmick with Ineos when they press him, he's done. But if he leverages the win for Europa League, I do think we see him next season, and I think we're gonna probably see a whole new United. One last thing, sorry, Toby, can you confirm this to be true that Casemiro gets a pay rise if you win Europa? Is that
I
real?
don't know, bro. I haven't checked. It probably makes sense though. It would make sense, like a European bonus or something like that, which makes sense. What's
Yeah,
the history?
I think he'd go back to like the wage he signed. Well, the agreed wage that they generally have for in European competition. So in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna
I
say,
saw.
yeah.
Oh, I see. 375 a week. I truly believe he's the worst signing of the modern era for Man United.
I don't believe in that, but
No, no.
that's so
It's
nonsense,
I think it's Sancho.
bro.
Spoiling, bro.
Yeah,
Is
what?
it, bro?
I think when you look at
I think
at
it's
the
troubling that
opportunity,
we have four different answers.
Antonio,
and if we add Tabani, there's
Anthony
fifth, because it's
Sancho.
I wanted to just jump in there real quickly. You touched on the point that we expect to see a whole new United next season, and I don't think that's going to be the case because we're going to still have the likes of Doku, Delict, Euro, Mount, Hoyland. Um, Ugarte is still going to be the base of the team. So you're naming players that are basically you're saying that these players aren't going to be there next season. Is that what you're trying to say, Mark?
You think Hoyland is
Delict,
staying?
Euro. Yes, they're not going to sell him. Though. I'm telling you, they're not going to sell him. So this whole
I
idea that
bet.
next season's going to be different, they're going to have a complete new squad, to me, is a joke because he's still going to have to rely on these players next season. I know that for a fact. This window, I'm only expecting a max of maybe three players only. That's me personally. I know they're not going to come with some massive rebuild because it's not feasible. It's literally not
sorry.
feasible.
Sorry, the reason
Yes.
I didn't answer you, Toby, is because I was just doing quick math. I was calculating how much Casemiro cost. So that was 70. That was 70 M that you bought him for, right?
Yeah.
He had an average wage of 350 a week for the first 2 years. That is due to rise to 375 from next year with 1 year left in his contract. That brings his total cost to 126 million pounds. When I tell you he is the worst signing in Man United modern history, I'm speaking from like a marginal perspective. I think the cost of who you signed, right, versus what you got, leave the football before the football leaves you, relative to his price, I don't think, like, when you look at those margins, there's anyone worse. Performance,
He
where the
got us
club is
trophies, though,
versus
no?
price. Oh, which trophies did he win again?
The FA
Like
Cup
he won
and the
the FA
Carabao Cup,
FA
Cup.
Cup and
And the,
Carabao Cup.
yeah.
and
He won
maybe a
us those
Europa.
trophies.
Okay.
And maybe a
Versus
Europa. And he's played a
versus
big role. He's played a big role in the
versus
Europa League this
Jadon
season.
Sancho getting sent on mental health leave to I don't know why he went to the Netherlands. I personally have never
To
seen a photo of
record a
him there.
song.
I don't know if Ten Hag said I know a place there or they said go on holiday there. He then has spent his time on social media disrespecting Manchester United. and did not contribute to any of the success, because I can't call it anything else, that United had. And he's currently playing for another team in that time while still having his wages partially paid by Man United. That is insane. Go ahead, Cheeks.
I hear the Jadon Sancho one, and I can put Casemiro behind Jadon Sancho. However, I have a question because I truly believe he's second worst of all time. I really believe that.
Okay, but this is the last point. We have to leave this behind. We have to leave the
This
Europa
is
League coverage
this,
behind.
this is it. This is it. So why do the passport bros go to Brazil and Colombia when they're Brazilians and Colombians in Miami?
I'm so thrown by this.
So the reason they go to Brazil and Colombia is because of value proposition. Because the experience you get in those countries relative to price is much better. Guys, you can come here. I can take you. I know where little Brazil is. You'll find Latinas. When it's time for dinner, they're taking you to a spot that's $1,000, bro. Meanwhile, you can go to Brazil, say paella and that shit, and that's my point with Casemiro. It's relative, very nuanced. Oaks, 125M for an FA Cup and Europa League. What are you telling me? What please can we talk about this? What words are you uttering to me? And also, wait, last thing. When you look at who you signed, that's the other thing that pisses me off about Casemiro. Because I started this agenda way before he joined Man United. I said there is a going for this guy is the most Man United transfer you can make, and it's going to just spiral you and take you back to where you were. The way I got abused in the DMs. AB Herman, all you man came for me. But it's quite literally this. You're getting a guy with the facade of UCL winner, right? When have you ever seen a player underperform and the response in the comments to a tweet slandering him is he has 5 UCLs, that he didn't win at your club? What is that? So it gave them the facade. It gave them this facade of a world-class player, a guy who's going to be transcendental and evolve them. He kind of made you worse, like a little bit. Like Casemiro contributed to the dysfunction at Man United. He really did. Because now, when you have a team sheet, or rather, when you're entering a transfer window, and you need to sign players, what is the one position you're not even going to consider looking for? Because you have CM. Because Casemiro's there, and you know what he is? It's when you play academy and the coach's son is there, right? So the coach doesn't even look for players in that position. If you're playing that position, you better learn a new position. It's like that cancerous dysfunction where it's not just about him; it's about what comes from him being there. That completely. It's Rafael Varane. At least Varane loved the club. No, like Varane loved Man United. I don't know what happened, but he loved Man United. Casemiro, they were making.
What did he do?
Bodega, dude. It's more so the months of being told it's the best CDM in history. He's gonna take Man United to a new. I'm sorry. Also because of my guy Paul, who's somewhere in Miami right now, recovering from 5 years of abuse at your club. No, I'm so sorry. Like, guys, pound for pound, this Casemiro signing has been Alexis Sanchez levels. It's been horrendous. No, it's been horrendous.
Nah.
Nope. Look,
You see?
you had a flow. You got into a pocket. You got into a really nice pocket there. You got a few bars off. You got carried away, and now that's all the listeners are gonna remember. That's what's gonna stay with them.
Hoyland had someone on social media saying, "Boy, this is how you
Waiting for
guys, Hoyland is the worst. I don't care what anyone else to say, bro. That guy is shit. Like, you know what they did to Hoyland? There's no way, bro. All they
For
did
what
was
it's
call Casemiro fat, bro. No way.
For what it's worth, with all that we've discussed in terms of how much a trophy means to different teams, how much a trophy means in different contexts, I believe Manchester United are winning this. If only because I can't see a world where they bounce back from this. I think Spurs can recover from this L and move on and accept that Ange has to go. I don't know what United do in a world where Amorim loses with this side, can't get UCL and can't reinvest this money. In terms of how much a trophy means to various teams, all that this has done, this conversation, it showed me that, dog, we have to just hold it and accept that this year wasn't our year as Arsenal fans. It's made it a lot easier to just look and say it could be so much worse. Also saying Arsenal should be embarrassed. they're talking about a trophy that we do not even think about. You're talking about a version of the competition that we have never played in. United, at their best case scenario next season, they might finish seventh or eighth. As Arsenal fans, the two and a half of us here, honestly, lads, let's be grateful. Let's be grateful for what we have. Enough about the Europa League. Enough about United. Enough about Spurs. Mvu, it's time for you to finally take your victory lap. Barcelona have done it in the most infuriating way possible, where they've disregarded defense and have said we're just going to outscore absolutely everybody every single week. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. The floor is yours. Whatever it is you have to say, get it off your chest. You can say, "I told you so." You'll lead us, brother. You and Sheiks. I know you guys have things to say about Madrid. Go.
Uh, I'm gonna keep it on a humble thing. The best team, the best teams won the Liga this season, so I'm very happy. I had Kanya in January tell me that Madrid are definitely winning this. There was no chance for Barca, and that we're nothing without Lamine Yamal. That I agree. But like very good player. And we are very defensive without him. He went as far as telling me yesterday when Madrid were 2-0 up, when Unai sent a voice note saying, "We're gonna humble these guys. We're gonna fucking humble these guys." Kanya tagged me, and I said, "Oh, okay. Are you insinuating that I need to be humbled?" He responded by saying, "I'm not insinuating. I'm clearly telling you that you do."
Wow.
20 minutes later, he says, "Sorry, bro."
Shit, man.
Look, dog.
He
No
says,
one's
"Sorry, bro."
perfect. No one's
He's too
perfect.
eager. He's
Um,
too eager, man.
it
I didn't even have to say anything, bro. I didn't have to say anything. I just said, okay then. As soon as he said, I said, okay then. But yeah, look, I'm very happy we have Starboy on our side. I said this at the beginning of the season, by the way, that history will repeat itself. So vindicated at last when Madrid signed Mbappe, and we were told by some guys in the group that Madrid have the best team ever. I was told that I must relax. Barca's not that good. I was told that Barca must win real things first.
Told by
I
who?
was just
Told by
told
who?
many things.
Rindai.
Mr.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I was just told this, and that other games didn't matter, even when we were smoking them. Um, but like I said, beginning of the season, I said history will repeat itself, and it looks to be the case. And I'm just so glad that I've said it before. Barca have reverted to what works for us. There aren't many teams in world football where how you win matters. And I'm just so glad that we have academy players stepping up and players that actually care about the club and care about the way we play at the forefront of our success right now. The Champions League knockout was very frustrating because I've been very vocal about our defensive frailties, which I will be very honest, I'm very worried about next season because I saw Hansi Flick is going to be
Coach
extending.
again.
So I just hope that he can just grow as a manager as well and just realize like some games you have to see out because that is a very big frustrating thing for me. Um, but yeah, other than that, bro, Lamine Yamal, Pedri, who we are told that Jude is way clear of, and I was told this by another guy who I won't mention on this group that if their careers ended today, one is just done. And you see what I mean, bro. People come tell me these things. I don't go ask people these things. They come tell me. The same way
Wanted on
Kanye
the
told
record
me
that
things.
wait, hold on the record. The Pedri Jude thing has nothing to do with me.
Yes, it has nothing to do with
Yeah.
you. You're right. I'm just making a point that I don't say anything to anyone about Barca in the group. I get approached. I get approached and I just wait.
Shout out
Literally,
to
that's
Toby.
all, bro.
No, look, Mvu, with what you've just shared, honestly, I'll share something that I think a lot of people will resonate with. The thing about Barcelona that makes it so infuriating when they beat you is it becomes a thing about them as a club. Like it's the idea that Barca are just inherently better. And honestly, in a season like this, you kind of have to hold it because again, you are using your academy better. You are using your squad better. You are playing better week to week. And it's embarrassing, honestly, as a Madrid fan, that ultimately the season's come down to the fact that we didn't know left from right for most of the season. Like the idea was, okay, maybe this week it'll just click, you know, like this time and this final, Oaks will just show up. The fact that like Oaks thought that Arsenal couldn't beat them, given the state that Madrid were in for most of the season, was a bit ridiculous. It's just like, dude, why? Why would you have won that game? Like, there's nothing tactically that suggested Madrid had anything there. And honestly, dog, I have no rebuttal. I'm just grateful that Alonso is on his way. I'm a bit confused by the Trent signing, but I'd like to believe that even
He will
though
cook at right wing back though. He will
Hey,
cook at
look,
right wing back.
he could, but there's a lot that needs to change. There's a lot that needs to change. A lot that
Yeah.
still needs to be figured out. It's not like immediately Alonso arrives and everything is perfect now that there's this coach that will have what 3 weeks. He's going to coach the Club World Cup, maybe. Like there's still so many question marks around Real Madrid. I think this year has shown
No, it's not.
how
I think it's
poorly
Solari.
run
It's
that they
Solari.
are
It's
at this moment in
Solari.
time.
Solari
You
is going to be
see,
coaching.
what is that, bro? They're gonna be coached by Solari, and then 3 weeks later it's gonna be Alonso, and then after, like, bro, like they're
I
gonna be
think it
playing the
is.
same system. There's so little clarity around what it is that Madrid prioritize. Like in all seriousness, as much as Mbappe has had this incredible season, and he has had an incredible season, numbers wise, goal wise, he has shown up
Oh, he
at the
has.
very least.
Malcolm, relax. Stop.
It's his worst. It's his worst. It's his worst return in 7 years if you remove penalties. I just wanted to point that out.
Penalties have to be scored, brother.
Honestly.
Let's keep it simple.
And when there was an Italian scoring penalties, you were personally campaigning against him winning the Ballon d'Or. So let's also contextualize penalties, please.
Oh no, how? As long as we're all in agreement, Mbappe shouldn't win the Ballon d'Or. That's fine. But he has shown up this
No,
season.
I don't think you can say that he's shown up this season when
Bro,
his
he has.
contributions have been at the expense of Madrid holistically. I don't think you can say. I think you can say he's maybe not even justified. He's held his own because it is tough to have a first season at Madrid. I recognize that, but to say he's shown up, to say, oh, that transfer made sense. Do we all think that transfer made sense right now?
Well, just before that, Cheeks, again, when you apply the context as you so usually do, in relation to Madrid's other attackers, like whether like I think you'll have your victory lap now about how this was going to turn out, right? But when you compare to how Vinny and Rodrigo have performed, I would say he has held his own in relation to them, because Vinny's been shit, Rodrigo hasn't been great, and when Madrid have done something, it's mostly been him.
And
But
and
that's
and Rashid, before you go, you can make the argument that on some level that's because Mbappe's arrived and destabilized the team. But holistically, I really do
Yeah.
think a lot of the issue comes from the fact that, first of all, there was no Cruz replacement, and of course, that's because there was money diverted towards Mbappe. But these are issues that I don't think are Mbappe as a player issues.
Player
These are issues that
issues.
reflect the fact that Madrid as a club holistically this season have been so divorced from what has taken them to the success they've had in the past 5 years. The idea that Madrid are meant to be like the biggest club above so many other things, dude. Why the hell did not go to the Ballon d'Or ceremony for Vinny? For Vinny to then have the
Yeah,
season that he just
that was
had,
that was
like
ridiculous.
those kinds of things. The fact that the recruitment was so poorly thought out that Nacho wasn't replaced either. The idea that Madrid could just go into it this like foolishly. No one, honestly, not many Madrid fans knew who that Asensio was, let alone the fact that it's not even spelled the same way. It's luck that he emerged, and the idea that Madrid even have some kind of future to build them, they're not doing that because they wanted to. They're doing that because that's all they could do. Madrid have failed themselves, and in that kind of context, Mbappe has shown up, and I'd like to think that
Yeah.
even though you have your views around him holistically, you can appreciate it in that context.
Yeah. Also,
nope.
just to add,
So yeah,
gonna say, just to add on to that though, Malcolm, do you not think, given the way the season started for him as well, remember he was in the mud. People were saying it was a waste of money. This guy's not going to be the guy at Madrid, and then he ends up having the season that he has had at Madrid. You have to say, bro, come on, you have to respect that at least, even just the mental ability to push through and turn up.
He's not
You know,
hearing
the
us.
guy.
you guys are gonna
Just go ahead.
you're gonna turn me into Skip Bayless. No, Toby, from the perspective of a professional, yeah. That's fine. Like I think the hardest thing for any footballer to do is to pick yourself up from, like when you're slugging, like when you're despondent, like the mental. It's hard, bro. Like have a bad first touch at the beginning of the game and don't have a shit game. Like, it's hard. So like the fact that Mbappe had that pressure and he still was able to the guy is. My issues with Mbappe are never about his ability or his abilities as a footballer or his ability to like mentally persevere. My issue with Mbappe is he never understands how much is too much, right? And that's why like when you're talking about like it being about Madrid holistically, Kanya, than it more so than it is about Mbappe. I position it differently. Mbappe going to Madrid is, you know, we always say, can we get all the trifling Huns and all the trifling gents and put them on an island together and let them just date each other? This is the merger of two crybabies. Like, it's perfect. Madrid as an institution, for all the glory and all the success, and they truly are a cornerstone of football. And Kylian Mbappe, in the context of this era of footballers, they are one and the same. They are mirrors of each other. And all the problems we see that you've spoken to, Kanya, you know, we're not replacing Cruz. I think everybody with half a brain can see that that is a big problem, right? Not having adequate coverage at centre back. Alaba wasn't really out, like, you know, he's been out injured for a while. You know, not having a right back. You know, Vasquez is, you know, I mean, come on. Carvajal is also like a bit. Carvajal is a bit, you know, too old now. All real, but do you know where that comes from? From this guy saying, "I want my dream move," and then pricing it like he's moving to Riyadh in Saudi. Like, there needs to be a level of awareness for, and this is what I mean. Mbappe never knows how much is too much. Like, there needs to be a level of awareness on what your presence does to a team. You know who has that awareness? My goat, Lionel Messi, when he goes to PSG and he says, "Oh no, I don't want the 10. I'll take 30 as if I'm 19 again." Right? David Beckham this week on his show, Becks and Friends, spoke about his biggest regret in his football career being going to LA Galaxy and taking the armband from Landon Donovan, who had been there his whole career. Like, Mbappe lacks that level of emotional intelligence. And when you join Real Madrid and you make all of your criteria, I want a jet, I want a private jet, you are taking away the resources of a club to build a team that can compete. And now that level of naivety isn't all on Mbappe. It's Madrid for thinking they can we are Real Madrid this to the final. So it is a merging of two very, very trifling, stupid people, right? I completely agree with that. But in terms of giving him the grace as if he's an academy guy who got it out the mud and fuck you. No, you told me, not him specifically, but like fans, you told me this is the next Ronaldo. This is the next of this generation. Even if you're not going to actually be Ronaldo, he's of that caliber. That's where they put him. One thing you can say about Cristiano Ronaldo, for all his whining, for all his, when it's time to get the job done, right? If Madrid get knocked out, you're not going to look at Ronaldo and say, "What did you do?" He would have scored and he would have given his all in the final 2/3 of the pitch, right? That's the problem with Mbappe. It's you bet the house on him, and what you get is a half-assed effort. But what you get is moaning. What you get is like a lack of tactical understand. Like, Ronaldo was a mercenary in the sense that he understood his role. This results in success, so I'm going to keep doing this at the expense of everything else. Mbappe doesn't have that same level of sacrifice. So this season for me, when you say, I say he's justified the faith in him as a talent. But there's still so many questions surrounding Madrid as a unit. And Mbu, you mentioned now, to just address your points, because all you guys are Mbappe Avengers, have to answer all 3 points at once. When you talk about Rodrigo and Vinny, we all, I think everyone but Rendai knew the deficiencies of it. Like, we all, as much as we respect Vinny, we all knew, like, as a player, there's a bit of Martinelli in there. There's a bit of like just a lack of, I think that comes out the way it has this season because Mbappe is there. And you saw it in moments in the game where they're making the same run, or it's like they're bumping into each other. What they're not like. It's
they genuinely could have scored so many goals when they broke the lines, but then they were in each other's space.
My boy.
But there's one moment where Vinny makes that touch. If you want to talk about what Mbappe's biggest issue is the fact that he's exposed Vinny to a point where genuinely, if Madrid are honest, if Perez is honest with himself, if City said, "Dog, here's 150,
give me Vinny,"
it's been great.
Listen. I completely hear you, and like, I'm not saying they should do it because I think Vinny is the franchise player, but you've now made a decision in terms of where you're going. Mbappe is who you've signed. And I've seen so many articles speaking about how do you get the best out of Mbappe? You need him on the left. You need a focal point up top, right? If I'm Madrid, I'm really considering or training Vinny on the right hand flank. Those are your two options. Because this thing of guys, if you told me one team to play against Barcelona to be successful, I'm saying Real Madrid. Why? Because they play a high line and they have the fastest attackers in the world. Like, this is very simple math. You just get literally one. You don't have to have the right long ball. You know that Ashley Young meme back in the day. Fuck it down there somewhere. Literally, just hit it down the line. One of them are going to result in an overload, and there's a square. That's how they scored. In behind, you cut it across. Mbappe tapping, and they still got cooked. No man, I don't even want to talk about Real Madrid because I want to talk about Barcelona. Because what I do have to say about Barcelona is, Kanye, we spoke about this a while back when you were like, Barcelona are villains, and why, there's this like level of like halo effect with Barca because of the football they play and the legends they've had. And I hear you. I need you guys to understand, I'm not pro Barca, I'm anti Madrid. Barcelona, Mvu, please talk to your members there. Thank you for saving football. No, I truly mean this. Thank you, because you know what Lamine Yamal has brought with him. I truly believe, and this is a Sheik's hot take, we're at the end of the goal and assist era. I truly believe this. Because Pedri and Yamal are playing with Rafinha. If this was in 2019 when our African Egyptian brother was cooking, Rafinha would be heads and shoulder the best player on the team. But Oaks is saying, no, these guys play exciting football, so we're going to watch them. And your eyes are telling you these two kids from the academy are heads and shoulders above everyone else. So I truly believe these two guys are going to bring the end of goal and assist merchants in football. And we're going to have football mirroring. See, that's what they got confused. People looked at Ronaldo and Messi and thought the goals and assists are what made them them. No. Their footballing ability is what made them them. The goals and assists were always just add-ons, right? These two guys, you have saved football. Barcelona Football Club, this season, you've kept me going because this is a very dark year for me. The joy watching them play, the joy at, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think this is sustainable long term, but like the joy of just saying, like, fuck this X's and O's, bruv. Best players get the ball, go score. do something, bro. Like, honestly, like, there's times when Yamal, I don't know, there was the way he sent Vinny when he was just fucking around with who was on the right. Who was playing right back? Kunde was injured.
Yeah.
Yes, Garcia. They're just touching it, and then Garcia plays it back. He drops the shoulder, drags it, sends Vinny and Mbappe. The crowd applauding, like, the game, bro. Football is it's healing, and that's what when I see these guys play, just playing purely for the joy, purely for the love, and then you add in the fuck you element, Kanye, that I think you always hated about the Barcelona of old. Like, they would pretend
the fake humble thing.
The fake humble.
Dog, Lamine has no haters. I swear to you guys, every 2 weeks, a different person messages me and says, "Oh, Lamine's different.
Yeah,
He's different."
Yeah.
I haven't heard someone say he doesn't do there are no Lamine fail comps. They don't exist. Because no one has the time to try and pretend that he's not that good.
He's not the guy. No, he's the guy.
He is evidently that guy.
The guy.
No, like I always use my dad as like the barometer for stardom, because my dad stopped caring about footballers like 2011, 2070. So the names, I've sent you screenshots of some of the butchering of names, like Antonio Rother for Rudiger. He's talking about like he called Kylian Mbappe Mbappe for a while until he said Lamine Yamal full sentence. He said this boy is a star. Lamine, and he even calls him LY now. He abbreviates. Listen, that stamp of approval for me, he's healing football. We're wondering, it's like, as I know me, I always go with analogies. As rap fans, we're always saying who's next, and we never got that answer. We truly never got the answer after this big three. Who's next? And I think rap has been in a weird place because of that. We have the answer. I wasn't all the way convinced with Mbappe. I respected him, but I wasn't all the way convinced. If Mbappe was a striker, I'd be convinced. I don't know if I've ever said this on this podcast. If Mbappe was just an out-and-out 9, hands down, that's next gen. The problem is he's telling us He's a winger.
I'm a
and he's-
wing. I want to create. It is not
Dude,
that creative.
that's not. If you were a nine,
All like, also
Neymar and
this.
he he saw Neymar and he said, "I think I can do this."
In all seriousness, are you guys certain Mbappe can cross?
no.
Don't
Reliably. No, like reliably. Not like a cutback. Cross.
Toby.
Because Lamine can cross. Can Mbappe cross? Like
Whenever I want you guys to watch. I'll try and clip this. Whenever Mbappe shoots or crosses, the edge of it, like if this is his boot, the corner of his boot hits the ground. It's never a clean connection. He always hits the loop on with the contact. It's always a loop and then it roll. He does not have a pure strike of the ball. Hence why I'm saying if he's a striker, he'd be one of the oaks. Like genuinely, as a winger, never. But anyways, the point I'm making is Lamine has brought about with him the answer to who's next of a pure footballing fan, right? I've always considered myself that. Like, fuck the goals and assists, right? Give me Wayne Rooney, who I think he scored 20 plus maybe 2 seasons his whole career. Give me that over, someone who's just spam always. Thank you. So like Barcelona guys for shutting those guys up. Yo, they needed it. Truly, God bless you guys. But Mexican club, Visca Barca, and all of that.
I saw early in the season, gents were saying, Mahrez, bro, guys, this guy, he's Neymar, bro. Like, it's ridiculous, bro.
Yeah.
He is Neymar. And, like, I don't know why people actually just forget. People are trying to do the Messi and thing. His idol is Neymar. Have you seen those comps where they say, I mean, like, they make him have a right foot?
Yeah. When you made the clip,
bro, it's so scary.
It's the same guy.
It's
It's the same guy, bro.
For me,
wait until he unlocks his right foot. It's done.
Oh, that is a weak side.
That weight. A lot of oxes don't develop it. Telling you as a left-footed person, sometimes you can't fix it, boy. It doesn't matter how much you try. Soccer doesn't come. Like soccer is an anomaly. Most left-footed oaks doesn't.
He's really the only left-footed guy, and Van Persie. Him and Van Persie are the only two guys who I've seen. That
Like for real, like you say,
for real.
the right foot doesn't matter which side you're on.
What about Shirky?
Maybe it'll come.
Oh, who?
Shirky's one, but
Actually, I didn't even know he's left-footed. That's
no, because
that guy's cold, bro.
but actually, technically Dembele as well. But again, he doesn't know which one is stronger foot. Like Turkey takes corners with either side. Again, he might not count because he doesn't know.
If Turkey just said keto diet, he's up,
bro.
He's so up. No, dude, like, unfortunately, with the way he chows and
he's got the Hazard gene, dog,
and the hookah, that plus the hookah, the Tarat, dude, 7-a-side baller. But like, in all seriousness, in terms of pure technical ability, that's a serious guy. But like, I'm happy we're having names like this emerge, and it's now a thing of where do they go next season, But yeah, Kanya, back to you.
Have you seen those clips where like he does these shooting drills? Bro.
Oh yeah. France. I think it's like under 21s or something.
Bro,
yeah.
It's
ridiculous. Turkey's special. It's just, I think the thing that bothers me the most is that we've known about Turkey for quite some time, right? Like this has been the first season where he's delivered consistently. I do think he has a thing of like he knows he's too good. He's always known. Like he's not a new name at all. For all we know in terms of what he could have potentially done, the one thing that Lamine seems to have is just the grace of having been at La Masia, right? Where the standards for consistency, for delivering every day are a lot higher than at Lyon, where the idea was in like maybe 2019, everyone already knew Czech was the most talented player there. And to a certain extent, there were coaches who didn't want to play him because he wasn't training that seriously because he knew that as well. And again, there's a thing that French players have, but people like in that region generally where it's like, there's no real reason to put in that kind of effort. Like it kind of fits that Hazard coming from Liga was known as this notoriously lazy trainer when he was so aware of his talent. Like you get told how good you are there all the time. I think the only benefit that might come for the footballing world is that Lamine, thankfully, comes from the academy.
It's, if I could comment on that, it's because the currency in French football is your ball playing. right? And that's why I believe when people call it the Farmers League, they're stupid. I believe the best dribblers in the world. If you look at the history of football, I believe the French league is heads and shoulders above everyone else. Like there's very few, and that's because the currency of that French league is the culmination of like every African idealistic style of football. It's literally the perfect blend of power, pace, ability, and all of that stuff. The currency in La Masia is never, or in Spain, is never what you can do with the ball. That's always an add-on. You could be the best dribbler if you can't pass, if you can't link, if you can't show, all of the little
Yeah,
things. You're
it's
not going to
associative
play.
play.
Yeah, it's associative, and hence why they can have a freak of nature, probably the most athletic player we'll ever see in Adama Traore, and he's not going to play for Barcelona. In England, best believe they're making concessions. If he if he was at Liverpool United, we'd see him. Jordan Ibenham, you'd see him there in the league. But like Barcelona say, principles or nothing. So like that, to your point, and also the mental aspect, Kanye, you touched on that very well. Like the French league is just too. It's just. If
They're too
PSL
lads
had a bit,
they all think they're the shit.
if PSL had a bit more cash, would be there. It's like similar vibes. I'm telling you, very similar. Like Mvu, like you can attest to this. Like ridiculous talent, but there's Zone 6 on Sunday. So what's happening? Yeah. So yeah. But shout out to Cherokee for sure. That's a baller, bro. Yeah.
But that being said, with Madrid and Barca being covered in full, Oaks, we have to kind of look to the future. I don't have super high expectations, but again, with Alonso, maybe things will be different. Does anyone think that there's a hope that Alonso arrives and in one season is able to win a Liga title with this current crop of Madrid players?
Not with the current crop, but I think if he's allowed to make signings, I think he will do well.
I don't.
But what's well? Like Madrid are making the final of the Champions League next year. Like to what extent? Give me like a ballpark guess. Obviously, I won't hold it onto this because the window must still play out. Lots of things still need to happen.
So the thing is, you said with this current crop, Montes no.
Okay.
If he has signings, I think they can definitely get to a semi-final. Like they have talent. They have talent, and I don't think Alonso's stupid enough to not realize that he needs a midfielder. He needs defenders.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't think he's an idiot. So I think if he's allowed to get signings, I don't know what his talent ID is like, but he got a tune out of some technical players there at Leverkusen. Him being a Spanish midfielder, I would like to think he might have an eye for some of these things. So I'd be hopeful. I don't think he'd flop, bro. You know what I mean? Obviously,
Yeah.
it's very easy, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. I just don't see it.
Toby,
Perez will be the one that
They're finishing behind Atletico Madrid, though. That's one thing I will say. I don't think
Yeah,
that
well.
Xabi Alonso is gonna come and do a madness this next season. I think it's very clear that the big issues are still with Vini and Mbappe up front. Is he still gonna keep that same front two or whatever? Because we do.
like what happens to Rodrigo? There's
What
like,
happens
there's
to all
question
of
marks.
those guys?
It's
There's
a lot to
question
figure
marks.
out.
And I think the biggest issue, from what I've heard from some of the commentators saying on the weekend, is that those two have some of the lowest running stats in the whole league. Like, it's insane. They run
The
so
second and third.
little. Second and third.
Yeah.
And like we see the same thing at PSG. When you have to have passengers and people that aren't running back, it's always going to affect the whole dynamics of the team. We've seen how big of a shit PSG have made when they brought in players like Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, Desiree Doué, who are coming back and running back against Arsenal, bro. Kvaratskhelia was running back, making tackles, and when
Didn't
you
know
have
he had
players
that in him.
bro. And when you
Look,
have players
I promise you, he didn't. He didn't. The first time I'd ever seen it was for Georgia during the Euros, where I was like, okay, dog, when
Okay,
you
this
when
guy,
you
yeah.
care, when you're invested, you can
yeah,
do this.
bro. So I think if he's able to get
So-
that, if he's able to get that out of Vinny and Mbappe, then maybe he's gonna have a different season. But if he's not able to achieve that, then I don't really see much changing personally.
I didn't consider that, and I think that's a very good point actually. That he still has guys that have egos, and realistically, are those guys going to respect Xabi Alonso? I think he's had maybe a more successful career than most of them, but he's still a young coach.
All of them,
Some guys,
as a player, he had most successful careers in all of them, besides Modric.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Yeah,
I
I don't
think
know.
I think it's going to be a test of his his winning mentality, because I do believe he's going to. I believe Madrid are going to be a real football club for the first time probably since what, 2017, 16. In the sense of like sustained football, actual
Oh yeah,
positions,
okay.
like I think he's going to heal you guys in that sense. But I don't know whether, I know he had one of the craziest seasons I've ever seen in my life with Leverkusen, but I don't know if he has the winning mentality on top of that. If he can like say Super Copa and like, what did they play Super Copa? I don't know if they'll play, but if they can say like Copa del Rey in the midst of all of that, it's going to be a problem long term for the rest of the world. Like I think we're going to enter one of the most, the La Liga classical rivalry is going to be crazy, but I think the whole world of football will be put on notice, because I don't doubt that tactically Madrid are going to really evolve, right? I think, you said, will he sign a midfield? I think that's the first. Although they just said now that he apparently tried to hijack the Zubimendi deal,
Yeah.
and the
Ah,
board
okay.
said we're not looking for a six, so we're going to
But
look
you
at
see, he's already looking for like the right type of profile.
solutions.
Zubimendi
Yes,
might not be the guy. You know what I mean? I
right.
think
Yeah.
Perez will burn the ship.
Yes,
Perez will
I
burn
was
the
good. That,
ship.
that you just stole my take. I think
We,
this
we,
Xabi
we are
That's
Alonso.
aligned.
Perez.
We are aligned. Let's get him
Yeah.
out. Get him
Okay.
out. I'm
I
done.
think this Xabi Alonso the Xabi Alonso tenure brings about the end of the Perez era, and it's what I kind of spoke to the last episode I was on, where this whole "we are Real Madrid" shit only works when the opposition team looks across the tunnel and sees Ronaldo, Sergio Ramos, Cruz, right, gods of football. I'm so sorry. I do not believe at his core, Bukayo Saka believes Mbappe, Vini are better than him. At
I
his
think
core.
no, I don't think he thinks it's better than Dude, they asked him. They asked him, "What do you need to do to get to their level?"
And he said, "Come on, right," and that's a problem, because back in the day, if you ask that question about Di Maria, Ronaldo, Bale, you're gonna have it's a team game. You're gonna get those types of answers, right? But now, like,
Mm.
so this whole "we are Real Madrid" Galacticos, it's come to an end. It was great whilst it was around, but football has reset, and the problem with generational players, especially in the modern day, is they overstay their welcome. So Ronaldo and Messi were supposed to end like 2019, and that's when Neymar, Pogba, and those were going to be your new Galacticos. But because these men stuck around, right? Cruz was not supposed to be here until 2024, bro. He was supposed to end 2020, and then Pogba was supposed to come in, and Hazard, well. But like that's the whole point. Is like modern sports has completely shifted this idea of you sign one, you sign the direct generation after. No, now what you need to do is you need to have like development programs in place, which is what Barca have done well, where it's like we have one superstar, then we have another guy shadowing that superstar. And then we have like a very Barca have been very good at this. This is what they did with Messi and Ronaldinho, right? Then you have one shadow, and you just gradually see a shift in responsibility, and then you get rid of the old one, right? Barcelona's La Masia model is better suited to the modern era of football, I think, than this Galactico model. So I think Xabi Alonso is going to be a lot of growing pains. I don't know if he will win trophies. That's what I'm going to see. But I do think this ends with Perez saying, "It's been great, guys, but I'm out." And I think Madrid need to move faster. I won't lie.
No, we really do. My only concern is just the restrictions you set up around who can run for presidency. But that's all. That's topic for another episode. It's a whole other thing where
Wait,
he's
really?
basically
There's a
like
lot of push-ups?
he set up like safeguards where very few people are actually eligible to even run president of Madrid. But that's a different conversation. We
Wow.
don't have to dive too deep into that now.
Mugabe.
Um, pretty
Guys,
much.
can I just close off on my end? Just want to
Sure
say
thing.
bye, everyone. Because you can see I'm alive and smiling. Lamin Ballon d'Or. And also, shame on you, Liverpool fans. Shame on you guys. Shame. Shame.
Cheers, and bro.
But yes, and Vu, thank you for your time. Lads, we do have two other things to discuss before we wrap this episode. The first one being the Serie A title race. Toby, I know you have lots to say about your boy McTominay. Um, the floor is yours. The floor is yours.
I'm not gonna get into it too much, bro. All I want to say is I expect apologies from certain people, the likes of Anthony, Scott McTominay, players that have left my club and gone on to do amazing things. It's clear to say that, or it's clear to see that these guys were at the level that was required for us to play well. But they were favored by the institution, and now they're going to the leagues and they're turning up. Scott McTominay is spearheading Napoli to a title himself. How many assists? 2 assists. One for Lukaku. Who's the other player that's going? Oh, Raspadori. Like he's
Mm.
insane. I don't know what you can say from your end because I know you've been watching the Serie A as well. Napoli. I did say in the beginning of the season. I think Malcolm was there also when I said that they had fallen off and maybe they weren't gonna go end up winning the title and stuff like that. And this guy's like, oh, I haven't fallen off, whatever. I respect what they've done. I know it's one game a week, Conte, but they've come back and yeah, I'm impressed with Scott McTominay. Also, Billy Gilmore coming on from the vodka and still doing a good job. Ah, it's been a crazy season. I won't lie in Syria. I don't. It's a case of just to add on that. Napoli have also signed players that I think weren't the greatest, but they managed to put in a good shift. Same with Billing, bro. Billing from Bournemouth. Was it
Yeah,
Bournemouth?
that
Yeah, it
is
was Bournemouth.
insane.
But like he's
Yeah.
coming and doing a good job, coming on and making an impact and stuff like that. So it's commendable, I have to say, when they've lost players like Kvaratskhelia, etc. So and Osimhen as well. How can I forget? So yeah, it's been a good Serie A title race.
So I think my biggest focus when it comes to Syria is just how many players, and you just said it quite nicely there, how many players from other leagues who weren't necessarily superstars find their way there.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a hot take, but I have a view on this. I don't think it's because the Premier League is just so much better. I think it's just that in Syria, I feel like there's a more concerted effort from the coaches to maximize what certain players can do. Like you don't get
definitely, yeah,
like the players who are in those positions, they often play the roles, very restricted roles that suit exactly what those individual
what
players are capable of doing. Like I spent lots of times slandering Lautaro Martinez, right? And the idea has always been he wouldn't thrive in the Premier League because he does need a strike partner. That's a fact about him as a footballer,
yes, yes,
right? Obviously, he has proven to some extent that he's capable of doing it with Argentina. But when Lautaro's not there, sorry, when Thuram's not there, he does not look like the same player. And I think
yeah, hundred
it's a bit
percent.
unfair, and I can recognize that now. It's a bit unfair of me to criticize him for succeeding when the coaches who have coached Inter have said, no, 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 don't make him do all this other stuff. Get him as close to the box as possible. Like he can do the
Yeah,
other things in spurts. But you don't want him to be that striker. Like don't
you don't
force the
want them.
issue.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the idea that McTominay is 6'3" and maybe he could play at the base of the midfield. If he had the
No,
acumen, it's like no, he doesn't. He doesn't. McTominay is not going to be the 60 passes a game kind of orchestrator. That's never going to be him.
that's
He's a
never
box crasher.
like. Which is why I
He's a
respect
box
what
crasher.
Conte's done.
He's going to use his physicality differently. I think in the Premier League too often you find that coaches almost not say the coaches are worse in the Premier League. Although you can make the case when Amrin is getting jobs at United when there's maybe four other better Serie A coaches in Serie A. But that's up for a different day. But I think that generally there's a chop. I think how Lookman has been used is different to how he was
Different
used at Fulham.
at Fulham,
Obviously, being
yeah.
for a better team,
I
again, it's in Gasperini's system. He's benefited from a lot of like his teammates being better. But I think there's a job. I think there's a job. I can't understand how Anthony's doing what he's doing at Betis, for example. That does feel just like a level
no, but that's
issue.
same to do with no, but it's same to do with coaching abilities as well.
Perhaps,
Same thing
perhaps
because some of
like
yeah.
yeah, good.
So I was gonna say
No, good.
when you look at when people because you just mentioned now it's a level thing, but when you look at some of the goals he's scoring, I don't see how that can be something to do with the level that you're playing at. Those are literally goals to show that you have the ability, the talent to score those type of goals. Like I don't know if you've seen his last 3 goals that he scored for Real Betis. This
I,
Malcolm guy's
I,
gonna
I,
face
I
me.
have seen.
You saw
I
that
have
comp.
seen.
You saw that comp, and it's just like that's I don't. How is that a level thing? I don't see it as that being a level thing. Like if someone can maybe explain to me how it's a level thing, those are insane goals that you can score in the Premier League, you can score in the Bundesliga. That's just showing how
But
good he
but
actually
that
is.
but that's the problem though, right? Because you applaud, like I remember my coach once told me like about um college mixtapes, right? So like obviously when you're applying to colleges in the States, niggas make their mixtapes, their best clips, whatever. So what they always want to see is full game footage. So you can send your mixtape, but they say, okay, this clip where you scored this banger, send me the full game because they want to sit and watch the full game. And what they're trying to see is how much of your foundational game translates to the NCAA, right? Because you can have those highlights, right? But when you got the ball, when you trapped it, did the ball go up? Or Did you know how did you break the press? You know, how did you break the press? Did you pass through the lines? So with Anthony, it's actually I'd be more scared from the perspective of a Premier League club if he was scoring efficient goals, because you're not going to get the chance to score these bangers in the Premier League. What do I mean by that? And this is what I was going to say when you're talking about like the difference in coaching. So two things. One, in my opinion, I believe the Premier League tests your fortitude as a manager more than it does a coach. I think when you become a manager of a Premier League club, yes, the responsibility on you is to make sure the team plays well, but it's also now like being the CEO of a company, right? You have to communicate to all stakeholders. Coach, you have to be able to communicate to your own team, your coaches, you have to be able to communicate to the board, you have to be able to communicate to the fans. I don't think any other league in the world has the same level of responsibilities, which is why a lot of Premier League managers end up getting coaches to actually coach the teams, whereas that was Ferguson's thing for the last 10 years of his career, right? The second thing is variance in play style. I think Serie A is probably the most entertaining league in the world because so many teams play so differently. Not necessarily in the sense of one's build up, one's this. No. The profiles they employ, right? They're not just looking for. In the Premier League, no matter what you are, you have to be athletic on top of that. You have to be, right? You can be you can be McAllister, but you have to be able to run 12, 13 kilometers, right? You can be Zlobosly, you have to be able to pay your first 40 meter dash. So whereas Serie A can say, fuck that. Oh, one of our greatest midfielder ever is Pirlo. We don't need you to be able to run. And then that makes these matchups so much more exciting. It's my issue with, La Liga, right? Because La Liga, it's all technical. It's all about who can, rondos and possess, and it's nice. But what makes the technicality shine more is when it's about like, oh, like for me, I always say the best matchup, if I could go back and watch football, give me Vieira on one side, give me Iniesta on the other side. Let's see how that plays out. Because they're two players who are intelligent footballers, but who play the game so differently. So Serie A is too Iniesta focused or too Xavi focused. Premier League makes people play like Vieira to the point where now, as you say, you're diluting what a player can do. Why is Eriksen covering ground? Why is he your defense in transition, for example, right? Like, why is Shaka?
Why is that the expectation? Like, he's a great passer, yeah.
Yeah. Why is so Serie A does a great job at saying, okay, no, Jorginho, no, stay back. don't even pass this. Loftus Cheek. Okay, you break every single time. Carry the ball. Toby, you always spoke about ball carriers, and that's something that you identified well. And if you notice, where you always see them is in Serie A, because that's where they say, if you're a ball carrier, to Kanya's point, specific roles, carry that ball. That's what McTominay is doing very well. So I think that's really at the root of everything. But that was the point I was going to make. But now, with just speaking on Anthony, like Toby, don't look at these confidence.
I've watched his game. I've watched his game as well. I've watched.
Oh, so you believe holistically he's performing at a level that you're going to say he's going to come to United, get you back in the top 4 and all that?
No, and I don't. No, I don't want him to come to United. It's just completely.
You wanted to kill him for a moment. You wanted to kill him. Sorry.
Yeah, you wanted to kill him.
Don't get away with that. You wanted to clip you. That's all you wanted from you there.
I didn't do that. But you raised some valid points about, different types of play styles and different leagues. And it's not about just watching a certain comp, it's about watching the full game, because there's certain actions in there that you would not be able to do in the Premier League. I know I saw a comment on Twitter, someone talking about the amount of time he gets in terms of like, that separation when you're about to take a shot. In the Premier League, you get no time. You're closed down instantly. So
two people covering you. Yeah.
Two people covering. But then again, I don't know. Like I mentioned other people, I hate criticizing United players in this current turmoil that we're in. But I think we're going away from the point. But yeah, Kanya, in terms of Serie A, it's looking like a heated race, and I do think Napoli are going to win it once again, man.
There's something to be said about Antonio Conte. If he pulls this off, you can call him inflexible this season. It hasn't only been 3 at the back. 1 game a week, Antonio Conte can go toe to toe with any coach in the world. Truly, I do believe it. I have never, I've never been more impressed by him, honestly. Before now, the feat that had really moved me was what he did with Italy in 2016 Euros, because they really should not have gone as far as they did. He's taking Simone Zaza and them to Euro semi-finals, I think, or quarterfinal.
Oh, yes, and then they're missing the penalties. Yes.
The fact that they even had a chance, at all. They didn't even need that much time to get his message across. I have so much respect for him, honestly.
And then also just to
Conte,
add
sorry,
on to that,
just on.
no, so I was going to also just add on to that. Then also with Antonio Conte, we should also look to put some respect on Romelu Lukaku's name at the same time. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to add there.
Pro black. Now I hear that.
He just should never have gone back to Chelsea. He did this to himself. We should never have had any other conversations about him. It should have just been like he was that guy. But Chiefs, go
He
ahead.
was that guy.
I was gonna say Antonio Conte is his biggest flaw is that he's coaching in the 2010s post. Antonio Conte as a coach from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, where he had warriors, barbarians. He
Oh,
would
like
be one
the players of that time.
the profiles, yeah. He would be one of the great. He's already one of the greatest managers. I mean, he would be trending top 5 ever, because that guy's ability to transmit. Everyone roast Arteta about that one clip from the Amazon. You know, when he took the light and he said, "You need to
The light
transmit
bulb,
energy."
it's
Yeah, the light bulb. Yeah, but it's real. Like people are. That's why management is so hard, because you care so much about this thing. How do you get an earning? This guy's set up for life. How do you get him to care? How do you get him to see this is life or death? The best managers at that were in my opinion, Sir Alex Ferguson, Pep Guardiola, Arsene Wenger, Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho. Those 5. I think when it comes to
Simeone, okay, five, yeah.
Simeone's trending there, but the
Yeah.
problem is, again, Simeone does it by getting people who are similar to him, which isn't, you know what I
Not
mean?
the
He
same
gets,
thing.
he
Yeah.
looks for the psychopaths and says, "Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like me. I can see. Yeah.
I have something that you
like why are they linked to Romero? Like why does he want Romero? You know, you just-
literally,
Like, why?
literally, it's Simeone, he's but he gets psycho. Whereas Wenger, Ferguson, different profiles, different countries, different nationalities, they can transmit their ideology, their passion to you, to the point where Arsenal fans in this day and age, we're talking about, did you play well? Man United fans in this day and age are talking about, we winning this, because that's what our guys gave us. Ferguson distilled in you, win at all costs. Wenger distilled in us ideals and principles we will not change, right? Mourinho fans, Chelsea fans, the exact same way because of Mourinho. That's the hallmark of true management. And Antonio Conte is held back by the fact that he doesn't have warriors, right? That they're people who can make rap albums on the week. No. If this guy could get like Chiellini and them, oh boys, he'd be the most hated manager. So I agree with Toby. I think Napoli win, and I think Inter's match against Como they're going to drop points. I think Cesc is going to do something to impact this Syria, and it's very exciting.
You raised a good point there. I think that's probably also one of the reasons why Mourinho has fallen off so badly as well. I think the type of player profile,
for sure.
I think
Type of people are coming through.
coming through. They're not the Lampards, the Drogbas, the guys that will run through brick walls for you, trying to make the most out of it, being like mental guys. Like he's having to deal with
The way Mourinho put it was Lampard at 23 was a grown man. These players at 23, I forgot what he said. I forgot the end of the quote. It's like these players at 23 can't stretch after max, something like that. But it's like that's it, bro. Like Mourinho needs you to be able to handle your business and to perform when it's time to perform. You need to. It's why he does well with Africans, because we know the psychological abuse. Yeah, we know what that feels like. Whether it's from life, whether it's our parents, like. We understand what it's like to live in this really paradoxical state of being appreciative of life, but also wanting more and responding well to negativity. Like, it's Mourinho is fucked over by that for sure. But like, now I think Napoli does it, but I think Inter win the Champions League. So I think it's going to be an even. Who knows?
I think we're aligned there. I brought this up, like this specific topic, because I think this season offers the opportunity to respect the other leagues. The fact that ultimately there's so much love for La Liga, so much love for the Premier League. The Champions League finalists are from Italy and France. Farmers League, whatever it is you have to say about people not performing it. No. When it was all said and done against the mighty Barcelona, the best in the world. No, Inter.
Showdown.
Well,
Mkhitaryan and co. Please don't forget it.
Acerbi did.
Don't forget it. Cherby and the boys. Chalanoglu. Bro, Oaks had written
I
off.
even read somewhere.
So
Cherby was
many
fighting
players.
demons not long ago. He was fighting.
Yeah,
demons.
cancer, bro.
Cancer, bro. What?
Fucking insane.
Yeah, like honestly, I think the Champions League finalists, it couldn't have been better. I'm elated. Like that football story ultimately is that it's like if you weren't paying attention, if you weren't looking at those teams, you don't respect those leagues, you have to at this point in time because
But
because
yeah,
there's no one else that will be playing on May 31st. It's them. You will learn their names. That being said, folks, it's been an incredible episode of Base Never Die. Thank you for taking the time. I have one last question from all of you. I want to keep it short and sweet right at the end. Who wins Ballon d'Or for you right now?
Dembele,
Toby.
Dembele, Usman. And I'll be sad to say it, bro. I will be so sad because of my. You guys know the hate I have for that guy. You
You
know
wrote
the
him
hate
off
I
start
have.
of the season.
I wrote him off.
Your reaction to
Bro,
2022 World Cup is that final. That was the best
and
10 minutes I've.
but I
You
said
killed
this, I
him.
said this on the group. I said this to myself as well. After what he did for me against Arsenal, I said, okay, you know what? My beef is gone now. So thank you so much, Usman. And I wish you all the best with the Ballon d'Or, mate.
Yeah, no, for me, if if I had the sole vote, it'd be probably going to Pedri or Yamal. But
Yeah,
I
but it
think
doesn't
it's
work like that.
boom ta ta boom ta boom ta Rafinha. I think Rafinha. I think he does. I think
What?
Rafinha. I think he does it. I think he does it. I think Rafinha does it
Wait,
for
how
the
does that
reason
make
that they needed
sense?
because he has the
Goals,
most
bro.
goals and assists in Europe.
No, but he's not
He's
gonna
had the
win.
best
But these guys are
Ballon
gonna
d'Or.
win
He's
basically every trophy. No, I'm talking about PSG.
I remember I'm operating under the assumption that Inter win the Champions League. I believe
Oh,
Inter will
okay,
never win
okay,
another
okay,
Champions League.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah. If PSG win it, then you're right. It's probably going to be Dembele. But
okay,
for me, I
okay,
think it's going
okay.
to go to Rafinha, and I think also they want to. I have a conspiracy theory that the powers that be need Brazil to be real. 2026. I think we're going to see some funny activities. You know, the World Cup's in this place. I think Trump even inquired about Brazil when he got awarded that key or whatever. I'll get the clip. I may be lying. I'll get the clip, but yeah, no, I think there's going to be a bit of a push for these Brazilian players, and at the same time, they want Vini out of here, so I can see it going to Rafinha. But I would give it to Yamal or Pedri, one of the two. I think this is one of the best seasons I've seen
Yeah.
from like under 21 players in my life. How old is Pedri? 25, 24. How old is Pedri?
I think it's 23.
23.
Damn.
Under
which,
23 players.
which is a bit insane. Actually, I have to check that. I refuse. I'm not happy with that as the reality. Surely not. He can't be
Let me
23.
see. Yeah,
What does he
22.
mean?
Yeah.
And his body's already that dusty.
Hey,
Is
you
it?
see,
It
Flick's
looks
juice.
perfectly fine.
Flick's
It looks
juice,
perfectly
bro.
good.
Flick's juice. That's another conversation.
PhDs.
PEDs in football, but that's a
No,
conversation for that episode.
I
I
said
heard you.
PhD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
PhD. I
Look,
was like, what?
you've traveled. You, you've been traveling. You've been
He's
traveling.
tired.
To our listeners, those who stuck around for all this time, thanks for making the time. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I believe that it should be Lamine Yamal. That is who I would vote for, but I do believe Sheik's is right. I think Rafinha is lifting. Thanks for making the time. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll be back very, very soon.
Boom, ta, ta.